So today we're going to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We're now on episode 56 of the series, and in the last episode, episode 55, we saw Mongolia and this blue team over here invade the Siberian country for oil. We also saw Morocco invade the Senegal, Guinea-Bissau country, and then this country got involved. And Morocco wasn't a big fan of that. And lastly, we also saw Alaska invade the Ontarian country, and the Ontarian country wanted to waste Alaska's resources since it was cold up here, so they decided not to fight back. And the north of their country wasn't a big fan of that, so they decided to break away and form the state of Nunavut. So yeah, now let's get started with this episode. Now, first off, let's go over to Africa. Remember how Morocco was extremely pissed at this country for getting involved in their affairs? Well, Morocco's gonna get their revenge now. So basically, Morocco is going to be invading into Sierra Leone through Mauritania. And their justification for this is that, hey, this country, they're a dictatorship. And come on, we don't like dictatorships, do we? How about we just take care of this? And everybody knows that that's BS, but nobody cares about this little country over here. So they're like, yeah. But yeah, let's get on with this war. So, Moroccan forces entering through Mauritania and their own soil are going to swiftly capture this capital. And Sierra Leone is like, well, I thought we were chill. Yeah, we were chill until you decided to take my land. Like, but I thought we agreed that we could split. And they're like, that was sarcasm. Well, I didn't know that. That's so. They're going to capture this major city and cut off this country into two, leading into a rebellion over here that just joins the army, aka a fancy way of saying capitulation. And then Morocco focuses in on the coast to cut off this country and hurt their economical state. And after a while, this country, after a long while of fighting, decides to succumb to the wrath of the fascists. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. And this peace treaty is definitely a little bit weird. Ignore that the ocean turned bright blue for a second. That was not meant to happen. As you can see, there is a line going through Mauritania. And you're probably wondering why. It's because, well, Morocco wanted to take all of this land, but they felt like it just wasn't worth just leaving it like that and just making a new ally like that. They thought, hey, how about let's merge these two states? And then we can get that land and this land. So yeah, a little bit weird, but it works nonetheless. Yes, and yeah. Well, Africa is starting to get more spicy. And after all the shenanigans happened over here, we're actually going to stay in Africa because Nigeria is doing pretty well. If we take a look at the stability layer, right now they are an orange, but they're actually going to go from an orange to a yellow and then to a lime. So yeah, safe to say, Nigeria is doing very well, but can't say the same about their northern neighbors. And okay, that's a lot more accurate. But yeah, Nigeria kind of wants to like help out their northern neighbors a bit, so they're gonna be like, let's overthrow their government. Right now, these guys are a constitutional monarchy, and a socialist country, and Nigeria is going to successfully do, whoa, that's the wrong layer. Nigeria is going to successfully do this, which is pretty cool, but it gets better, as these two countries, seeing as they're similar, as in they both come from Norway, they are both actually going to, and Nigeria is like mission accomplished. And these guys are going to thank Nigeria for this, and they're going to give them a bit of land. So, this new union, I'm going to call this country Chad. Yeah, Chad. Chad is going to give Nigeria these select bunch of provinces. And actually, let me check real quick. So I found out that this country in real life would be split between Niger, Nigeria, and Chad, and a little bit of Cameroon. So I'm just, since Lake Chad is like right there, I'm gonna call this country the Lake Chad country. Yeah. So yeah, new union up here, and Niger's like, hooray! Now next up, we're actually going to be moving over to South America here, specifically to this Paramaribo Suriname country. Now, them and Colombia used to get along pretty well, but relations have been souring recently as Colombia supports the Turkish Union while Suriname is more leaning on India. So they're like, let's nationalize our people against Colombia. Yeah, that is a great idea. So now there are lots of border clashes happening on their border, and Colombia's like, dude, can you stop? And Suriname is like, that's a very good question. Let me think about it for a minute. No. Oh, and Colombia's like, come on, I thought we were bros. Okay, yeah, I'm going in. So Colombia declares war on the Suriname country, and Suriname is like, whatever, I'll win. I got allies who will back me up. Right, guys? Right, guys? Right, guys? Crickets sound. And Colombia's like, yeah, you're screwed, bub. So, Colombian troops enter into Suriname, capturing this major city and this one, since Colombia is just that strong, and just cut off all their Venezuelan land. And Suriname's like, oh, that land is kind of important, though we can't lose that. So, Suriname is going to actually kind of try to fight, pulling a counter-offensive over here, but it just doesn't work as they get continuously pushed back by the Colombians. And eventually, over here, after some more pushes, is this entire area of Suriname, of Trinidad and Venezuela. Yeah, I'm calling this thing Trinidad and Venezuela because that's a cool name. Like, yes, they do in Tobago, but come on, the name Trinidad and Venezuela is such a unique name. I've never seen anybody do anything like that before. Okay. So yeah, Colombian forces continue to push in and into Suriname, and eventually it just gets to a point where the civilians are just tired of their government and they're like, yeah, we're breaking away. And they're like, no. And they're like, yes, we are. And the entire eastern half of their country break away and form the state of Para. And because of all of this, chaos, the Suriname guys are going to finally surrender over to Colombia and give these two countries independence. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. and how this is gonna turn out for Suriname. And in this peace treaty, we see the dismemberment of the Suriname country as they have been heavily reduced. This pink para country thing gets its independence, and they say that Trinidad and Venezuela is formed, and Suriname has been heavily reduced as Colombia now has a border with the Blue Amazonian team. So yeah, stuff is changing in South America. Now let's move on. Now we are going to be moving from South America over to Eastern Asia as stuff is going on over here. This country, who has done nothing ever since they got freed in World War II, and were kind of like the thing to tear down Korea, they aren't doing so hot. Because if we'll take a look at the stability layer, they're at an orange, and orange is below average stability, which means that they don't have to be red to be stability. Red is just extremely likely. Orange is it's not as likely, and yellow is barely likely, and I'm just impossible. You get the idea. So, when this country falls into civil war, their neighbors are surprised, I think, confused on how this happened. But they are going to support their selective side to win. So over here in the western side, we have a pro-Indian side that's more towards Mongolia, yeah, and stuff. So India is probably going to be supporting this one. And over here in the south, we have a pro-Chinese rebellion. You know, the pro-Turkish Union rebellion, yeah, that guy. And then over here in the center, we have a terrorist group who just want to, do terrorist thing, terrorize people, the usual stuff. And over here in the northeast, you have a pro-Japanese rebellion who want to form their own state and stuff. But ideally control all of this and become more pro-Japanese to whatever influential thing Japan is going on over here, because Japan is starting to become a notorious power over here in Eastern Asia. They have a lot of influence. This is their range of influence. So, they have influence over a lot of these areas. Even the northern part of the Philippines, they have influence over. So yeah, Japan's influence is crazy. And so these guys, I don't know how the Bronze layer got turned on. These guys kind of want to be part of that. And the original government is just the original government doing original government stuff. So let's see how the Civil War will turn out. And by the way, this Civil War would kind of want to be like the Libyan Civil War in 86 still, where it just lasts longer than it lasts throughout episodes. So yeah, we'll be coming back to here a lot. So yeah, let's get started. Immediately, the ones that are going to do better are the Mongolian one and the Chinese one, since they are right next to their supportive countries. So, this one will kind of move around a bit. So, the wrong color. The Chinese one takes control of a lot of the southern lands here. But the main government, which is getting supported by Siberia, does manage to push back against the Cyan team in this front. While the terrorists are going to focus on consolidating a lot of the southern portions over here and pushing back the Chinese one. This one is getting funded by someone, but nobody knows who is funding this guy. And this guy is really powerful. So yeah, interesting business going on over here. The main government does manage to hold down their major city, but around them is where the Japanese force is greatest. And when they meet up with the Chinese rebellion, they start to push into the Chinese rebellion, and this just shows that don't trust anyone here. It's total war over here. And now we'll come back to that later, as now we gotta update the nuclear numbers. Actually, I lied. I'm going to update them later because I'm too lazy to continue recording this video, so I'll just leave it off here. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. Smash the notification bell, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.